The Galactic Council had convened beneath a false sky. That alone told Admiral Mara Ellison everything she needed to know about how seriously they took humanity. The sky above the council chamber was a vast holographic dome, projecting a slow, reverent spiral of galaxies, a visual reminder that the beings gathered here believed they owned the stars. Light shimmered off polished crystal platforms and floating tiers where delegates reclined, coiled, hovered, or sprawled according to their species' preferences. The chamber was enormous, larger than most human cities, designed not for efficiency but for intimidation. And at its very center, on a simple gravity-locked dais of matte black alloy, stood one human. No honor guard, no banners, no projection of Earth's star or the human crest, just a woman in a dark naval uniform, hands clasped behind her back, posture straight, expression unreadable. Admiral Mara Ellison, commander of the 3rd Deep Exploration Fleet, Special Envoy of Earth. She felt very small. That, too, was intentional. A ripple of sound rolled across the chamber, clicks, chimes, harmonic vibrations, pheromone pulses translated instantly by the implants humming at the base of Mara's skull. The laughter came in 100 alien forms, but the meaning was the same. Amusement, mockery, dismissal. The speaker's platform flared to life with pale green light as High Arbiter Threxel of the Karth Dominion unfurled his segmented crest. His species resembled towering mantis-like figures sculpted from jade and bronze, their multifaceted eyes glittering with ancient intelligence. The Karth had ruled interstellar space for longer than humanity had known fire. Representative of Sol, Threxel intoned, his voice amplified and harmonized by the chamber. You have been granted the courtesy of address. Speak quickly. The council's patience is limited. Another wave of laughter rippled through the tiers. Mara did not react. She had trained for this, years of simulations, psychological conditioning, endless briefings on alien body language and provocation. She stared straight ahead, meeting Threxel's gaze without challenge, without submission. High Arbiter, she said calmly, her voice carrying without amplification. Honored members of the Galactic Council, I am here to formally protest the annexation of the Helios Fringe and the destruction of human civilian colonies within that region. The laughter grew louder. A floating delegate of the Sarathi Combine, a being of light and gas contained within a shimmering energy lattice, pulsed brightly. Colonies, it echoed, amusement dripping from every syllable. You mean outposts, temporary structures erected without council sanction. Mara's jaw tightened just slightly. The Helios Fringe had been humanity's first true step beyond their local cluster, a string of modest worlds settled slowly, carefully, with council maps and treaties in hand. Every survey filed, every transit lane registered. Humanity had followed the rules because they believed, perhaps naively, that the rules mattered. Until they didn't. 3 months ago, Karth Dominion war fleets had arrived without warning. They broadcast a single declaration of historic claim, then glassed 2 human colonies from orbit. Over 4 million civilians died in the first hour. The Council issued a statement of regret and scheduled this hearing. The Helios systems fall within Karth ancestral expansion vectors, Threxel said smoothly. Your species' recent emergence does not grant you authority to contest ancient rights. Those ancient rights were never codified, Mara replied. The Council's own star charts were drawn after our expansion, interrupted a hulking delegate of the Volgrim hegemony, its tusked face splitting in a predatory grin. You built homes on borrowed starlight human, and now you complain when the owners return. Mara felt the familiar heat in her chest, the surge of anger she had learned to cage. She thought of the images she'd seen before leaving Earth. Cities reduced to glowing scars, oceans boiled, the frozen outline of a child preserved in shadow against a blast wall. She did not raise her voice. 4 million dead, she said quietly, most of them non-combatants. We are not asking for dominion, we are asking for accountability. That finally shifted the mood. Not sympathy, but irritation. A low, resonant sound rolled through the chamber as multiple delegates signaled displeasure. Threxel's crest flared wider. Careful, human, he warned. Accusations of war crimes are not leveled lightly in this chamber. Nor are they laughed at, Mara replied. Silence fell, not complete, but enough. Eyes, lenses, sensory fields turned toward her. For the first time since she had entered, she felt the weight of their attention. Threxel leaned forward. You stand before powers that shattered suns before your species crawled from its gravity well, and you accuse us of crime. Yes, Mara said. The word echoed. A murmur spread, not laughter now, but incredulity. The Volgrim delegate snorted. Bold words from a species whose fleets still rely on fusion drives and kinetic cannons. You should be thanking us for allowing you to exist at all. Mara smiled then, just a little. Humanity is grateful, she said, for the time we were given. That drew confused glances. A few translators lagged, recalibrating for idiom. Threxel narrowed his eyes. Explain. Mara took a slow breath. This was the moment Command had warned her about, the line she was not supposed to cross, the statement that would either change everything or end it. For 2 centuries, she said, humanity has observed this council, your wars, your hierarchies, your so-called balance. We were told that survival among the stars required deference, restraint, compliance. She let her gaze travel the chamber. We listened. A faint flicker of unease passed through a few delegates. We limited our military expansion. We shared our research. We opened our systems to inspection. We believed that if we proved ourselves reasonable, we would be treated as equals. Her voice hardened. We were wrong. The Sarathi delegate pulsed dimly. This rhetoric serves no purpose. It serves mine, Mara replied, because I am not here to beg. The laughter returned, but thinner now, edged with irritation. Threxel straightened. Then why are you here, Admiral Ellison of Earth? Mara met his gaze fully. I am here to inform the Council, she said, that the annexation of the Helios Fringe is unacceptable, that the destruction of our colonies constitutes an act of war, and that humanity will not comply with any ruling that legitimizes it. The chamber erupted. Sound crashed like surf, roars, shrieks, harmonic dissonance. Delegates rose from their platforms, some flaring with light, others slamming appendages against crystal in outrage. Insolence! You dare threaten the Council. Remove her. Through it all, Threxel remained still. When he raised a single claw, the noise subsided. You overestimate your position, he said coldly. Earth is not a founding power. You possess no veto, no strategic leverage. If you defy this council, you will be sanctioned, isolated, and, if necessary, neutralized. Mara nodded once. We anticipated that response. Threxel's eyes flicked just briefly. Anticipated. Yes, she said, which is why this will be my final appearance before the council. A pause. Then, softly, Threxel asked, is that a declaration of secession? No, Mara replied, it's a declaration of limits. She reached up and tapped the small device at her collar. The holographic sky above the chamber shifted. Galaxies faded, stars dimmed. In their place appeared a stark tactical projection, human in origin, unmistakable in its clean lines and brutal clarity. A map of local space bloomed into view, centered not on the Council's core worlds, but on the Helios fringe. Dozens of unfamiliar icons appeared along its edge. Angular, symmetrical, military. Mara's voice carried through the sudden hush. For the past 87 years, she said, humanity has prepared for the possibility that the galaxy would one day decide we were expendable. Threxel stared at the display. What is this? Mara lowered her hand. Our contingency. Somewhere far beyond the Council's false sky, something ancient and terrible began to move. And for the first time in recorded Council history, the laughter did not return. The Council chamber did not erupt again. That was what unsettled them most. Where outrage had been expected, where mockery or swift condemnation should have followed, the delegates instead found themselves staring at the projection suspended beneath the artificial sky. The tactical map rotated slowly, impassively, its unfamiliar symbols pulsing with steady white light. Human design, language. Efficient, minimal, purpose-built. High Arbiter Threxel broke the silence at last. His voice, when it came, was lower than before. You presume much, he said, displaying military assets within this chamber skirt's violation of Council neutrality accords. Mara Ellison inclined her head slightly. Then it's fortunate I am not requesting permission. A ripple passed through the assembly, not laughter this time, but something closer to unease. Several delegates signaled private communications, light flickering across their forms as they consulted aides, analysts, war priests. Humanity was not supposed to do this. They were supposed to protest, to plead, to threaten sanctions they could not enforce. They were not supposed to arrive with plans. The Volgrim delegate leaned forward, heavy tusks casting long shadows. Those icons, it rumbled, they are exaggerated, censor ghosts, fabrications meant to intimidate. Mara turned toward him. They are real. Impossible, the Volgrim snapped. Our scouts patrol though. See regions we would have detected. What you were looking for, Mara finished calmly. Yes. She gestured, and the map zoomed outward. Trade lanes appeared, council borders, long-established sensor nets marked in faint blue. Then something else overlaid them. Subtle arcs, shaded regions, voids where no council sensors reached. Blind spots. For 2 centuries, Mara said, human exploration doctrine emphasized caution. We were told that stealth was unnecessary, that transparency was the price of trust, so we complied. Public routes, shared telemetry, predictable expansion. Her eyes swept the chamber. And all the while you watched us, catalogued us, measured our weapons, our ships, our response times. Threxel's crest twitched, as is prudent. Of course, Mara agreed, which is why you missed what we built outside your assumptions. She tapped the control again. The icons shifted, resolving into silhouettes, vast, angular forms arranged with mathematical precision along the fringes of known space. Fleets, yes, but not concentrated, distributed, layered, defensive lines nested within one another like overlapping shields. This is not an invasion force, Mara said. It's a perimeter. A Sarathi delegate dimmed noticeably. A perimeter against whom? Mara didn't answer immediately. Instead, she let the projection continue its slow rotation until the center of the display aligned with the Council's core systems. The contrast was stark. Where the human perimeter bristled with redundancy and depth, the Council's heartlands glowed complacently, thick with worlds, thin with defenses. Built on the assumption that no one would ever challenge them. We asked ourselves a question, Mara said softly, one that every young species must ask eventually. What happens when the rules stop protecting us? Threxel's voice hardened. You are implying hostile intent toward the council. No, Mara replied. I am explaining why we exercised restraint. That word, restraint, seemed to echo. The Vulgrim snorted. Restraint is the excuse of the weak. Mara met his gaze. No, it's the discipline of the dangerous. For the first time, a few delegates looked genuinely unsettled. A crystalline being of the Illyrian Synod chimed, its voice fracturing into harmonics. Your species has never demonstrated force beyond skirmish-level engagements. Your largest warship mass is classified, Mara interrupted gently, as of today. She gestured again. A single icon expanded, filling the chamber with a three-dimensional rendering. Gasps, translated and untranslatable, rippled through the assembly. The ship was enormous. Not merely long or massive, but dense. Its hull was layered in faceted armor plates that caught the light like obsidian scales. Power conduits glowed faintly beneath the surface, not exposed, but deliberately half-hidden, suggesting containment rather than limitation. Along its spine ran structures that defied easy categorization, not weapons as the Council understood them, but something more abstract: fields, arrays, possibility. This, Mara said, is a Sentinel-class deep deterrence vessel. Threxel stared. You claim this monstrosity was constructed without Council knowledge. Yes, and you expect us to believe you built an entire class of such ships in secret. No, Mara replied. We expect you to believe we built many classes. The Sarathi delegate flickered erratically. What is its armament? Mara hesitated for exactly one heartbeat. Which one? She asked. The chamber erupted, not in laughter, but in alarm. Threxel rose from his platform, towering. Enough, he snapped. This hearing was convened to address your grievance, not to indulge threats. Then address it, Mara said. Withdraw Karth forces from the Helios fringe. Submit to an independent investigation. Recognize human territorial claims as filed. The High Arbiter's eyes burned. You presume equality where none has been granted. Mara's expression hardened. Equality is not granted, it is enforced. That crossed it. Council security fields flared to life around the dais, lattices of force snapping into place, designed to immobilize or disintegrate threats. The temperature in the chamber shifted as weapons powered up, alien energies humming at frequencies that made Mara's teeth ache. Threxel's voice boomed. You stand accused of coercion and unauthorized military posturing. By Council authority, you are hereby stopped, Mara said quietly. She did not shout. She did not gesture dramatically. She simply spoke. And somewhere beyond the chamber, light years away, the universe answered. Every delegate felt it, not through sensors, but through something more primal, a pressure, a tightening, as if space itself had drawn a breath and was holding it. The projection above them flickered. New data streamed in, unbidden. Council sensor feeds, secure, encrypted, were being overridden. Not hacked in the crude sense, but polit. Ely bypassed, their own systems stepping aside as something more advanced asserted priority. Starfields shifted. Human icons began to move. Not toward the Council core, but around it. A tightening noose. The Vulgrim delegate roared. They're maneuvering. Threxel's composure cracked just slightly. This is madness. You risk galactic war. Mara's voice was steady. We risked extinction. She took a step forward. The security fields shimmered but did not activate. For reasons no one could quite articulate, no one gave the order. For decades, Mara continued, humanity debated whether to reveal itself, whether showing you what we were capable of would provoke the very conflict we sought to avoid. So we chose silence. We chose to let you believe we were small. Her eyes were hard now. You mistook that for weakness. The Illyrian chimed urgently. If what you show us is true, then your fleets, your technology, why hide it? Mara looked up at the false sky, now filled with human tactical overlays. Because power invites challenge, she said, and we were not ready to decide what kind of power we wanted to be. Threxel's mandibles clicked, and now, Mara said, you made that decision unavoidable. An aide whispered urgently into Threxel's sensory frill. The High Arbiter's eyes widened as new data flooded in, reports from the Helios Fringe, from Karth command nodes, from deep space pickets. Karth fleets were vanishing. Not destroyed, at least, not according to initial scans. Simply gone, disappearing from real space without energy signatures, without debris, without transition wakes. Explain, Threxel demanded. Mara hesitated again. Then she said, we call it displacement. The word hung heavy. It does not kill, she continued. It removes, safely if the operators are disciplined. The Karth crews are alive, disarmed, held in stasis beyond your borders. The chamber was deathly silent. You kidnapped our forces, Threxel whispered. No, Mara corrected. We arrested them. That was the moment the Council understood. Humanity had not come to threaten. They had come having already acted. Before any ruling. Before any vote. Before permission. The Sarathi delegate dimmed to near transparency. How long, it asked faintly, have you possessed this capability? Mara met its gaze. Longer than you've known us. Threxel slumped back onto his platform, the weight of centuries pressing down on him. Then this council has gravely misjudged you. Yes, Mara said, you have. She paused, then delivered the final blow. And Admiral Ellison is not my highest rank. The chamber froze. Threxel looked up slowly. Explain. Mara straightened, every inch the officer she was. I command fleets, she said, but the authority to deploy displacement weapons, to breach council sensor sovereignty, to detain another power's military without declaration. Her eyes were steel. That authority does not rest with me. The implication crashed through the chamber like a supernova. Somewhere beyond the edge of known space, something far larger than a fleet was watching. And it had just been revealed. Silence gripped the Galactic Council chamber like a held breath. Not the charged silence of outrage, nor the brittle stillness of political calculation, but something older, something instinctive. The silence prey animals fall into when they realize the shadow above them does not belong to the terrain. High Arbiter Threxel stared at Admiral Mara Ellison, as though seeing her for the first time. You are not the apex of your command structure, he said slowly. Mara shook her head, no. The Volgrim delegate shifted uneasily, massive form scraping against its platform. Then who is? Mara did not answer immediately. Instead, the projection above them changed again. The tactical map dissolved, replaced by a single symbol, simple, stark, unmistakably human, not a ship, not a fleet. A designation. Strategic Oversight Authority, Sol. The words carried no flourish, no intimidation. They didn't need to. A murmur spread through the chamber, translators struggling to keep pace with overlapping reactions. A centralized war command. A planetary defense council. A sovereign military AI. Threxel raised a claw for silence. His voice, when it came, lacked its earlier certainty. Clarify, he demanded. Is this authority a government? Mara chose her words carefully. It is a safeguard, she said, created when humanity realized that individual ambition, species ambition, was the greatest threat we would ever face. The Sarathi delegate pulsed faintly. You built something to restrain yourselves. Yes, Mara replied simply. She saw disbelief ripple outward. Among the council, power was consolidated, inherited, hoarded. The idea that a species would limit itself, deliberately, ran counter to everything they believed about survival. For nearly a century, Mara continued, the strategic of Ursite authority has existed beyond politics, beyond military hierarchy. Its sole mandate is to decide when humanity's full capacity is justified. Threxel's eyes narrowed, and it has decided now. No, Mara said, it decided 3 months ago. The chamber erupted, not in sound, but in motion. Delegates surged forward, light flaring, mandibles clicking, psychic fields rippling. The realization hit them all at once. Everything happening now, this hearing, this confrontation, was already obsolete. You speak as if the outcome is predetermined, Threxel said sharply. Mara met his gaze. It is. A flash of anger crossed his features. Then this council has no choice but to respond. Of course you do, Mara said. You always do. She gestured again. The projection shifted to live feeds. Council sensor arrays, long considered inviolable, now streamed data directly into the chamber. Human systems didn't override them aggressively. They simply interfaced, reading and relaying with unnerving precision. The Helios fringe appeared. Or what remained of it. Where Karth war fleets had once orbited captured human worlds, there was now emptiness. Vast, clean voids where hundreds of ships should have been, no debris, no radiation spikes, no chaos. Order. Too much order. Confirm Karth status, Threxel barked. A Karth aide responded in frantic pheromone bursts, translated seconds later. All fleets unresponsive, command relays silent, no hostile signatures detected, no casualties confirmed. The Volgrim delegate slammed a claw down. This is psychological warfare. Mara shook her head. It's enforcement. She turned slowly, allowing the chamber to feel her presence. Humanity did not strike your worlds. We did not target your civilians. We removed your ability to continue. The Illyrian chimed softly. By what mechanism? Mara hesitated. Not because she was afraid. Because this was the point of no return. You understand force in terms of energy, she said. Mass yield, destruction, so did we once. She gestured, and a new schematic appeared. Not a weapon. A field. This is a controlled spacetime shear, Mara explained. Localized, stable, reversible. It allows us to excise objects from real space and hold them in a pocket domain with no temporal progression. The chamber went still. You paused them, Threxel whispered. Yes. The Sarathi delegate flickered erratically. That violates causality treaties. Mara nodded. We know. You cannot wield such power without consequence, Threxel snapped. The galaxy will not tolerate. What you already tolerate when it suits you, Mara interrupted. How many council wars ended with stars destabilized? How many species erased under historic claim? Her voice was sharp now, edged with something deeper than anger. We chose a different path, she said, not because we were incapable of violence, but because we understood it too well. The projection shifted again. This time, it showed human history. Brief flashes, asteroids diverted at the last second, cities evacuated ahead of impacts, fleets standing down rather than escalating, treaties honored even when broken by others. Restraint again and again. For centuries, Mara said, we practiced not using what we could. The Volgrim growled, and now you unleash it. No, Mara replied, now we demonstrate it. Threxel's crest flared. If you possess such overwhelming capability, why not end the Karth threat entirely? Why not seize territory, dictate terms? Mara's eyes were cold. Because that would make us you. The words hit harder than any weapon. A long pause followed. Then Threxel asked the question none of them had wanted to voice. What happens next? Mara inhaled slowly. Next, she said, the Strategic Oversight Authority will issue terms. The projection shifted one final time. A live transmission opened. Not a human face. Not a ship. A presence. The chamber's lights dimmed instinctively as the signal resolved, not because of any hostile action, but because the Council's systems adjusted, as if recognizing a higher priority. A voice filled the chamber, calm, genderless, human, but stripped of accent, emotion, or artifice. This is the Strategic Oversight Authority of Sol. Every delegate felt it, not fear exactly, but certainty. The voice did not threaten, it did not posture. It assumed compliance. The Karth Dominion is hereby found in violation of interstellar conduct standards regarding non-combatant protection and territorial arbitration. Threxel stiffened. By whose authority? By the authority of consequence. The words landed like a verdict. Karth military assets have been secured. Civilian populations will not be harmed. Administrative control of the Helios Fringe will revert to human governance pending multilateral review. The Volgrim delegate roared, you cannot dictate terms to the galaxy. The voice did not pause. We are not dictating, we are concluding. Mara stood silently, hands behind her back. The Galactic Council is invited to continue existing. Its authority will be respected insofar as it does not conflict with the preservation of sapient life. Threxel bristled, you reduce us to a subordinate body. No, the authority replied, we reduce you to what you have always been, a forum, not a shield. The chamber buzzed with panic now, delegates broadcasting emergency signals, aides scrambling. Centuries of assumed dominance were collapsing in real time. And if we refuse, Threxel demanded. The authority's response was immediate. Then the next demonstration will not be reversible. The words were not a threat. They were a statement of policy. Mara felt it then, a subtle shift, like the galaxy tilting on its axis. She had known this moment was coming, had prepared for it, but knowledge did not dull its weight. Humanity had crossed the line from underestimated to unavoidable. The Sarasi delegate dimmed to near nothing. How many of you are there? It whispered. Mara answered quietly. Enough. The authority spoke once more. This session is adjourned. Compliance windows will be transmitted. The signal cut. The false sky above the chamber flickered, galaxies reappearing, but they looked different now. Smaller, less eternal. Threxel slumped back onto his platform, ancient authority suddenly fragile. You have changed the balance of the galaxy. Mara turned to leave. No, she said over her shoulder, we revealed it. As she stepped from the dais, the chamber doors sealing behind her, alarms began to sound across council space, not of attack, but of realization. Every power was recalculating. Every empire was afraid. And far beyond the reach of council censors, something vast and human aligned itself, not to conquer, but to ensure that no one ever laughed again. Yet the galaxy did not burn. That in itself was unprecedented. In the cycles following the council session, analysts across 1,000 species predicted chaos, border wars, preemptive strikes, desperate coalitions forming in the dark. Empires had fallen before when the balance of power shifted too quickly. History suggested blood. Instead, there was hesitation. Humanity's fleets did not advance beyond the Helios fringe. No new systems were claimed. No ultimatums were broadcast. The vast perimeter revealed by Admiral Ellison remained exactly where it was, silent, patient, immovable. Watching. That restraint confused the galaxy more than violence ever could. Within the Helios systems, human relief ships arrived first. Not warships, but carriers refitted into hospitals, agricultural hubs, and reconstruction platforms. Terraforming arrays reactivated. Evacuees returned to worlds they thought lost forever. Above one such world, Helios 7, its oceans still steaming from orbital bombardment, Admiral Mara Ellison stood on the observation deck of the HSS Quiet Resolve. She watched sunlight break through the planet's scarred atmosphere. Behind her, the ship was silent. The crew spoke in hushed tones now, as if noise itself might disturb the fragile calm. They had trained their entire careers for combat, and instead found themselves enforcing peace with the same discipline. A soft chime sounded. "Admiral," her aide said, "incoming secure channel, oversight authority priority." Mara closed her eyes for a moment, then nodded. "Put it through." The air shimmered, resolving into the familiar, formless presence of the authority. No face, no body, just that calm, omnipresent voice. "Status update requested," it said. "Karth military assets remain contained," Mara replied. "No resistance, no sabotage attempts. Council compliance is uneven but trending positive." "And your assessment?" Mara hesitated. She had learned, over the years, that the authority did not ask questions lightly. "They're afraid," she said, "not just of us, of themselves, of what they might have done if they'd possessed this kind of power sooner." A pause, milliseconds long, but perceptible. "That fear is expected." Mara folded her hands behind her back. "Is this what you wanted?" "Define wanted." Mara exhaled slowly. "We are no longer invisible, no longer underestimated. We can't go back." "Correct." She turned toward the stars. "Then tell me something," she said quietly. "Did we make the right choice?" Another pause. Longer this time. "There was no choice without cost," the authority replied. "Visibility invites opposition. Invisibility invites erasure." Mara nodded. She had known the answer before asking. "Your role is complete, Admiral Ellison," the authority continued. "Return to Earth, debrief, rest." "And the galaxy?" she asked. "The galaxy will adapt, or it will not." The channel closed. Mara remained at the viewport long after, watching Helios 7 heal one slow kilometer at a time. Adaptation came unevenly. The Karth Dominion, stripped of its fleets and shamed for the Council, fractured within a generation. Worlds once held together by fear renegotiated their allegiances. Some petitioned the Council for protection. Others reached out quietly to Earth. The Volgrim hegemony tested human borders exactly once. A battle group crossed into a monitored exclusion zone near the Perseus Drift. No warning shots were fired, no threats issued. The ships simply vanished. Hours later, a transmission arrived. Volgrim Command crews intact, systems disabled, coordinates attached for retrieval beyond the exclusion boundary. The message contained only one line. Further incursions will not be returned. There were no further incursions. Trade lanes shifted, diplomatic language softened, council sessions grew cautious. Where once mockery had ruled, now careful phrasing and deferential tones took its place. Not because humanity demanded it, because everyone had learned what happened when you laughed. On Earth, the revelation of humanity's true power shook civilization in subtler ways. There were protests, fears of militarization, of tyranny, of the authority itself. Philosophers argued whether any entity should wield such capability, even in defense. Generals debated doctrines that would never be written down. And ordinary people looked up at the night sky, knowing for the first time that it was not empty, and that their species was no longer the smallest voice in the dark. The Strategic Oversight Authority remained silent. It always had. Its existence was not celebrated. Its structure remained classified, its processes opaque by design. It issued no proclamations, no victory statements. Only boundaries. Only consequences. Years passed. Then decades. Humanity did not conquer the galaxy. It stabilized it. Displacement technology was never shared. It became humanity's line in the void, the one thing they refused to export. Instead, they shared medicine, engineering techniques, environmental recovery systems. They helped rebuild worlds scarred by council wars long past. Some species called them guardians. Others called them tyrants. Humanity accepted neither title. Admiral Mara Ellison retired to a quiet coastal city on Earth, far from the stars. She taught at a naval academy, not tactics or strategy, but ethics, the hardest subject of all. On her final lecture of the year, a young cadet raised a hand. "Admiral," they asked, "if we're so powerful, why don't we rule?" Mara considered the question. "Because ruling is easy," she said. "Restraint is hard." She looked out at the assembled faces, human, hopeful, afraid. "And because the moment we stop asking whether we should," she added, "is the moment we become the threat we were trying to stop." Far beyond Earth, in the deep black between galaxies, the human perimeter held. Silent, patient, unyielding. The Galactic Council still met beneath its false sky, but the laughter was gone now, replaced by memory. They remembered the day they mocked a young species. They remembered the human who stood alone and did not flinch. And they remembered the lesson that reshaped the stars. Power does not announce itself. It waits. And when it finally stands, the galaxy learns to stand differently around it.